Okay, so I haven't been for a drive for a few days, but I just wanted to do a quick update video. There's not a lot to say really, apart from, well, let's just say I'm off to Northway Porsche to get my service book stamped for the oil change I had done a few months ago, which I completely forgot to do. So let's see if it works. Yes, it does. Air conditioning is working, and so I'm going to go and have that done, but I wanted to fill you in on a couple of things that are happening. There's some big news, which I'll tell you about in a minute after I try not to get hit by that van. And so I'm off to get the book stamped, but so as you know, I've had the expansion tank changed and the engine mount's done, and a coil pack which kind of just split. I think you look at the YouTube video, you'll see that it really split, and the others are kind of borderline. But as Jack, Flat Six Jack, who I tagged in the Instagram pics, he did the work for me, and he was brilliant in keeping it real and saying, don't be silly changing all of them, because remember what you're trying to do, which was great. But on the expansion tank front, there was nothing wrong with it. It was literally the cap. So it would warm up in traffic, and once it got up to temperature, and if it got just a little bit above that and I was sat in traffic, it would start pumping it out of the cap. But by the time I got round to opening the hood and looking at it, the bit where it drained down from that little drain hole next to the cap, it had dried, and which meant that and that drained straight onto the exhaust, so all I got out to was lots and lots of hissing, which is really disappointing. So I've spent a couple £100 getting that done, and obviously when I got it done, and I thought I'll give it a go, and I just sat there letting it get up to temperature, and it just started to pump out of the cap. So what I did was I went in and changed the cap. Jack kindly got me a cap, put that on, and it hasn't leaked so far. I've let it get up to temperature and I've sat in traffic for a bit. I haven't actually let it run for about 15 minutes or something, because I'm too scared. Because when I did with the old cap, it was it pumped out the whole lot. So when I went back, I went and got a 5 litre can. I had to fill it up with the whole can. So I didn't really want to do that because I had to drive it to Halfords with virtually no coolant in it, which is a bit rubbish. So, and also the engine mounts, I haven't really noticed any difference, even though they really did need changing. The gear change is a little bit notchier, and a little bit harder to put into reverse. But so yeah, I don't know what's up with that. Maybe it's the selector, or I don't know. I don't know. I'm just guessing. But the big news, well, it's big to me, is I couldn't find my flat cap, so I had to go and buy a new one. And this is it. I love my flat cap, and I'll have to keep looking, but I was pretty devastated, but I have bought another one, which is huge news. Also, I've changed the name of the channel. I don't know if you've noticed. Anchor Guy was just a made-up name. It didn't really mean anything, and it was just a phrase or two words that I really liked. It's actually one word, Anchor Gaia. And I really liked it, and I just put it on there, but it didn't really apply to what I was doing. So I've just changed the name, and I've put a little logo up called Flat Cap Driver. I'll have to change it on Instagram as well, just to keep the branding consistent. It's not rebranding, it doesn't make any difference. And also I put a little subscribe button somewhere down there. And that was, I thought, well, I should make it easy for people to subscribe, because I do want to get a conversation going with people. The whole idea of doing it in the first place is kind of fallen by the wayside because cars aren't that cheap. Well, these Porsche 911s aren't that cheap anymore. And when I look at something like an old late 1960s, early 70s 912, which no one wanted back then because it was basically a Beetle engine in a 911 shape. And guess what? It's still that. But now they're kind of on a par with 911s. You know, you could get a decent condition 912. Well, not decent, a good condition 912 for the same price as a running driving 911. So if you went and got a working 911 Targa, for example, 1969, 1970, the longer wheelbase one, not the soft window one, and 45,000 pounds. And if you got a good condition 912, you're kind of talking the same price, which is bonkers. And I wish I'd bought one years ago when people couldn't give them away. But it's the same with anything. The price is just going up like mad. And because there's a pandemic on, there's people's investments are going to crap. Property prices aren't even that reliable. So people are putting their money into gold and classic cars. So you know, financial advice as well. No, don't go and listen to me for financial advice because I don't know anything. And if I was any good at that kind of thing, I would have just gone and invested myself instead of chucking my money into a beaten up old 911, which has, by some strange stroke of luck, happenstance, whatever it might be. Oh, someone in a Citroen Picasso right at my backside. Means that it's worth more than it was back then, without me having done anything to it. So I've done a couple of things. You know, the air conditioning works, and the couple of things I've just had done. Most notably, the expansion tank cap change. They are going up in price, but the 997s still seem to be coming down. And I'm still keeping an eye out for a Aston Martin Vantage, but well, I say that, and if there's one going locally, I'd go and see it, but there isn't, or there was one, and the guy didn't respond when I messaged him. But also, in other news, Modern Classics, the magazine that I buy every now and again, and I bought the last one because they were talking about the bargain supercars, and Aston Martin Vantage was in there. The magazine's gone bust because no one's buying them, and also with the pandemic, even they were struggling anyway because of people doing YouTube channels. And there's, you know, people in the US who've got millions and millions and millions of followers, and people over here as well. What have I got? Like 200 maybe, if I'm lucky. And people have stopped buying magazines, which is sad really, because I love reading a magazine about, especially when it's a cover that's caught my attention. I like going home and having a coffee and taking my time to read it. And also reading it from cover to cover, because you're not in this echo chamber on the internet where you're only presented with stuff that matches things that you've looked at in the past. You might see something that you've not, you didn't think to read about before. So it broadens your horizons, I would say. So yeah, that's quite a lot of stuff. Also at the end of these videos, I've put recommendations on and subscribe buttons. So I don't think it's really going to mean anything in terms of getting more subscribers, but I just thought it might look a bit more professional, especially now that I've got a microphone and a better camera. So yeah, I thought I'd give it a go. And also it meant that, you know, over lunch I actually had an hour to go and do all of that stuff. So I'm hoping that it means there'll be more subscribers. I'll get messaged by more people who are doing stuff like this, and I'm hoping cones. Oh my god, what am I doing? So I hope I get messaged by more people who say that they've gone out and bought one, but it's not really the time to go and buy this kind of stuff now, though, is it? Because there's a pandemic on, and not only a pandemic on, but people's jobs aren't secure, and the people losing the jobs, actually this is slightly off topic, but people losing their jobs when it comes to a downturn in the economy, or something like a pandemic on that, which is decimating. Why is there so much traffic? I thought everybody was working from home. The people losing their jobs are the ones who can least afford to lose their jobs first. Obviously the second wave is all of the people who are earning a bit more money, or in jobs which you'd hope that there's a little bit more security, or you're going to get a bit more of a payoff, so you've got a bit of time to look for another job. But it's all the people who are working in those, they might be young people, students, people in part-time work, so they might be working in cafes, pubs, bars, and retail, and they're the ones who can least afford to be unemployed. And I've gone off on a tangent, but it means that people can't just go and say, I'm going to throw like this £6,500 on a car that I might completely lose. And I've been really lucky, and we have to acknowledge that there's a lot of luck involved in me not completely losing my money. So I think there'll be less people doing it, and I'm thinking, should I try and get? Should I be doing anything else now and risking more money when I could be out of work? I don't know. Certainly, doing something in addition to this would probably be a bit mad right now. And if I sell this, like I said before, I don't know if I'll be able to get another one. So I might just be best hanging on to this and sort of just observing what's happening. I'll put a bit more on Instagram about any cars that I've seen that are going cheaper. But and a lot of people are being opportunistic and saying, oh well, there's a pandemic and people will be ditching their cars for really low prices. I don't think that's a nice way to behave, maybe, because you're kind of taking advantage of people's misfortune, and I don't want to look at it that way. But what might happen is that some people who've got cars like this that are a bit rough and ready and you can use them every day might not be selling them, and a lot of people who've just got them had them sat in a garage for a really long time might get them out and think, I'm not using it, I'm going to sell it. And I don't think they're going cheap. I don't think prices are low. So it'll be interesting to see how the market develops. So yeah, and also I am going to try and get more subscribers, which means I need to do something different. And again, I think I've been saying this for about a year now. I don't know what that is. But tomorrow I might be going to, not tomorrow, in a couple of days, I might be going to see my mum, and which means I'll be doing a 200-mile journey in one day in this car. So that'll be interesting. And yeah, I might do a video then, but I might not have anything new to say. So I'm going to go into Northway Porsche, where Ray's going to laugh at my purchase, and that bloke just came out of a side road without even looking.